Hello everybody, welcome back to Game Cave Development. Game Cave marches onward. Okay, so what am I doing tonight? Tonight I am going to be drawing interior art for Game Cave Online. Actually, it shouldn't be a difficult thing to do. There's not tons of details. It's mostly just kind of going over the 3D model that's kind of been laid down, actually putting some lines to it, maybe embellishing a few parts, adding some little ticks in that. A lot of that's kind of being done in the color. The idea is that online in their virtual world, which I call the Rift, it looks like a series of malls with stores. So it's very clean in there, kind of the opposite of the rustic Final Fantasy 9-ish exterior. So nothing super difficult. So let me just grab my pens. Where's my art gum? I thought I see that was the thing. Today I was looking for my art gum, and it wasn't in pack. I wonder if art gum fell on the floor. Art gum, where are you? There we go. All right. Where to start? Well, like I said, a lot of this is just trying to add imperfect lines, so I'm not using just a CG asset. So it's gonna kind of get started on what's in front.
Hey, Rob.
Hold on one second. There you go.
Hey, quick question.
Yeah. Hey, hold on.
Um,
Hey, long arm. What's up, dude? All right, go ahead.
yeah, I can't find the one picture of you holding, or sorry, Mintz holding the black 3DS. The one arm holding the 3D, the black 3DS.
Yeah, it's called Majora's Mask.
Oh,
Look in the
okay.
layers comp. It says Majora's.
Okay, let me just double check here. Oh, so it's not the regular, just plain black. It's the actual Majora.
Yeah, I
Okay.
made it the Majora's Mask one because I changed it because that was the one he in the dialogue was he's like, oh, I pre-ordered the Majora's Mask. I thought it'd be funnier if the one he pulls out was
Right,
the
right in his
Majora's.
face. Okay.
So when they're talking about how it's like, no, 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 I imagine like he would be, when he's like, how much it's worth, he like looks at it,
Right,
realizes how much it's worth, and then dreams about all that money. He goes, hey, it's no big deal. Like, there might be a pause in the, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
in the dialogue
Okay.
where we had, huh? You see what I mean?
Yeah, I got that. It was throwing me off because I was like I went back like I just skipped that part for a minute and I was going past it and I'm like where is that one? And I was kept listening to it and I'm like what am I missing? And then that helps. Sweet. Hey, look, I helped make this.
I knew this would get you to show up.
I didn't even.
Yeah, it's just weird how I knew it would work out.
If I didn't have a question, I wouldn't have.
Yeah, just somehow.
But no,
All
I was sitting here
coincidence.
trying to find it, and I'm like, I might as well just ask him. No matter instead of wasting time here trying to find it, I'll just ask
That's
him.
where I deviated from the initial idea and went off on this tangent.
Fair enough.
So the dialogue might need to stop at that point, and then maybe we add like instead of angelic sounds, we go la la la. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
or if it attempts to the if it works to the current audio without doing that, then perfect. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Majora's Mask.
And that's where creating some kind of timing sheet or X sheet. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
On our end will help. Because then I can be like, this goes right here.
Right. I like how the shading looks on the curves up at the top right, where it bends snakes.
Huh?
I'm just looking at it printed out. It's just in my head, seeing what I made and just looking at it printed out. It's kind of neat.
Oh, yeah.
We made, not I.
Yeah, Majora's Mask would be cool as a movie. Long Arms is in the Q&A.
Aren't they making a live action Zelda show? I think.
Nintendo says no, but it's the same kind of no they gave when they said when Wall Street Journal reported that they were making a new 3DS. So my guess is they're still in the negotiating stage,
Hmm.
you know? So I could probably still go either way. Personally, I think an anime would be better, but whatever.
Right.
You know, there's a 25th episode to Kill La Kill, right, Brandon?
No.
Yep, it was exclusive to the DVD. You can torrent it, or I can just
Nice.
WeTransfer you the file.
That'd probably
But
be best.
it's an actual epilogue.
We'll have to watch it later this week.
In between all your packing.
That's that's next week. I don't know. I'm just any free time I have now, I need to work on making CADs and finishing this animation.
That's right.
Packing can come, the day before it's time to move. I'll just throw it all in the truck, hope for the best. I might just have to go down there and stay at the wifey's aunt's house for a week because I don't think we can move into the apartment until the 11th and just have her stay down here in Arizona.
Nice.
Yeah, whatever
Hey, man.
works.
At least it'll be an adventure. You always act like people always go, "Oh, it's so horrible. I got to do these." You know, well, at least you got some shit to talk about when you go to a party. You know what I mean? Most people just say, "Ah, just sit around, fucking doing nothing." Hey, and don't think like I don't hold myself to that standard. I tell people all about my crazy life. And then this happened, and this happened, and then this, and they just look at it like, you
The
know.
only party I go to is Google Hangout with Rob. So get
And
ready
you're
to
not
hear
on here
all
that
about it,
often.
Rob.
You're not on here that often.
I can't lately. I've been
I'm doing stuff. Hey, you got that list I sent you, right?
the text, yeah.
Yeah. Say that because that's the exact order in which you're to do everything.
I did. All right. Well, let me get back to the After Effects.
So what's an ETA on this shit?
Uh, soon? No, I mean I'm trying. I mean I don't know. I mean it helped that I made this the way I. Let me try this again. Let me try this again. I'm on a faster track than I was now that I went through and I made this sheet,
Now that
and
you
now I
started.
can. No, I was doing it before. I just didn't know. I didn't go. I don't didn't know about. Hold on. I didn't know about the. It's been a long day. Fuck. I didn't know that. I didn't know how to go about doing anything, so it was just a fucking mess of trying to
Yeah, you
think
see what
of
I
a.
was trying to talk to you about last week?
Right.
You're like, and I'm like, you should really think about how, I don't know. Yeah, that's not gonna work.
But I'm on track now.
All right.
Just know that I'm not slacking.
I don't think you're slacking. I asked you what an ETA was.
Right. I will tell you later.
All right.
All right. I'll talk to you in a
Bye.
bit.
What's up, long arm? Oh, nice.
Guess who's back?
What else?
All right. So now you sent me a lot of different ratio numbers and sizes, and I have all the different ones. Now, on one text you sent me, you said you wanted the 4:3 ratio, like the old
No,
school.
no, no. See, this is why you don't type things out appropriately.
I have the text right here. I'm looking at it.
I don't fucking care about the text. I told about how when we talked about this stuff, and then we went right over the actual file, and I brought you up on the Skype and showed you this stuff.
Right.
Okay?
Okay. So then I also have what I had
4-3.
before.
What's 4-3? Just out of curiosity, what's 4-3?
It's like a big ass square.
So what about that? It says Super Couchfort. What would
Right.
4-3 be for?
So instead, I did
What
the.
would 4-3 be for?
That would be for maybe those videos.
For television, right?
Okay.
It's television aspect ratio.
All right. So
4-3.
what I have is I did as was it the 1771 crop? I think it is.
No. Now you're completely wrong, dude. Because you don't go over these things. I'm telling you right now, this is where you're going to have trouble.
All
You
right.
know? This is
Oh,
where you're going to
that's
have trouble. So, before you even start, if you had no idea what you were doing to set up your comp, would you not ask, hey, I need to make sure I'm using the right aspect ratio? What is the current file set up for? 235. What have I also cropped it in case we needed to cut down to 177? You remember the 40-minute conversation we had last week about this?
right.
Right. So you need to set the file up for 235.
Okay.
Like, it's not hard, dude, but I'm just letting you know, right? That right there is the kind of stuff that's just gonna drive, it's gonna be your pain, not mine. You know
I
what I
know.
mean? So, I personally don't care. It's not a hard thing to solve, but you told me you were already working, which means whatever you've been working on now is just gonna set you back because you have to go back and rechange everything, right?
Just the ratio on it, which
We will always work at 235 unless I say so. Okay? I have set the imagery to fit within a 177 in case we ever sell the show and they want to, you see what I'm saying?
hmm
Or they take whatever we do or someone wants to whatever we need to. I'm just future proofing anything we do, right? 4-3 don't even come into the equation. Matter of fact,
right.
we're not even going to be using 4-3.
Okay. Well, what I set up first was so it's the 1920 by 800. The 235 two dots one.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going through and I was looking at some of the stuff and I clicked something and it worried me because it was the small square and then it threw me off. So I figured we'll just double check.
Now, I don't have a problem with double checking. What I have a problem with is you not having a workflow. So the first thing you always have to do is figure out what are you working in, just to begin with, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't matter. That doesn't change if, look, when I'm drawing a comic book cover, you want to know what the first fucking conversation I have with someone is?
What
Send
are
me your
they going
template.
for?
Send me your template. And you want to know what they'll always tell me? I don't have a template. All right? Every time, dude. Only Ape. Ape is the only place that ever had a template. That's it. Everyone else I've had to like ghettoize based off, what artist turned in what to whom, you know?
hmm
And then I had to set up a whole magazine with no specs. I had Dave tell me fucking straight up, it's something something. And then I made the fucking thing 1 inch too long. Not on both sides, on just the height. Had to go and recrop the whole issue and re-fucking format the text for the entire issue. Took 24 hours. So I don't really want to see you go through that kind of pain, Brandon. You understand what I mean?
Right.
That's why I'm riding your ass a little harder on this because you want to have to fix a $40,000 problem in 24 hours?
No.
You don't want to be in that kind of pressure, Brandon. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, we got to work this flow out. I mean, no big deal, dude, but I'm just letting you know? Yeah. 235, right?
Yes.
Right. And then what's 177?
The
16
177
by 9. You catch my
is
drift?
Mm-hmm.
It's 16 by 9. It's 1920 by 1080. So it's gonna, it's a little taller. Well, it's actually just less wide. Is really what it comes down to. It's cropped on both sides. But there you go. It's not hard,
Okay.
dude.
No.
I mean, you're gonna be doing this stuff, so you gotta know it. We're working at movie spec because I like the look of it. What really sucks, bro, is people like that Clone Wars cartoon, right? The CG one.
Uh,
Well, they shot it in 235. All the frames are rendered. That CG cartoon is all rendered at 235. But in the States, they don't like the little black bars, right?
uh-huh.
So they crop a third of on both sides right off. So just imagine spending a year working on something that just gets trimmed.
Right.
No one even gets to see it. It gets aired in the UK in 235, but here we get less. It's horrible, right? Is there anything else, structurally speaking?
Um, I don't think so.
Because I get a little scared. You know what I mean? Like you're using the audio, you got that right.
Yeah.
You'll be fine, dude. Just you know what I mean. You gotta make sure that when I'm talking to you and I'm spending an hour talking about shit, I'm not doing that because I have no. I mean, if I want to shoot the shit with you, dude, I'll talk about the Flash. You see what I mean?
All right.
But when we're having those conversations, dude, I gotta know that you actually took everything in. See what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And dude, don't think I'm oblivious to this. Like at work, I've learned a pretty good art of making sure I take accurate notes because nothing worse than having a meeting and you have to go back and go, well, what shirt colors are we using again?
All right.
You know, you don't want to be there. That's not a good day, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Let's see. I'm just double checking what I have you on here.
That's fine.
All right. I think I got it. If not, I'll be back. I'll also write it down that way.
I told you we'll have to do a small test thing too. You know, because we're gonna have to see if YouTube will crop the bars. Remember I had that
All
conversation with
right.
you?
Yep.
Right. Hey, yeah, well, Longhorn, this guy's coming to work with me at the day job, so he gets the fucking royal treatment, you know? Because if you think I bust some chops, you should fucking see what my art director's like. I'm gonna be watching this guy sweat all over his fucking desk if you don't follow directions. And I'll be having a
I'll
good day.
bring.
And guess what you
I'll,
get to do when you get to come home, Brandon? You get to work on this shit. So you know what I mean? You want to have a nice, happy day.
I'll
That's my advice to you. You
I'll
know what I
bring
mean?
extra T-shirts. That
Yeah.
way, when I get all sweaty and want, I can just change.
Don't waste my time. Just like when if you come and tell me all this stuff about timing, animation, you need this, this, and that, and then a week later I haven't started and I'm like confused, wouldn't that piss you off?
Yep.
Right? I mean, at some point it will reverse on you. You know what I mean? And you're gonna go, ah, God, you know? Like I fucking, Rob was booking right in my ass, but like this is the difference between me and those other cats. That you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The real shit, dude. Now you see why I didn't have you drawing a bunch of elements, by the way, on this
All
stuff,
right.
right? So much easier. I can make this shit up as I go along. All right, dude. If you need anything else, just let me know. Just make sure it's not fucking the same shit we talked about last week. Or
All
you're
right.
gonna you're gonna get it.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Bye.
All right. I hold people to my standard when they work with me. I don't step down to theirs. And I don't like it when artists just like, they take that path of, well, I'll just remember the trick. And then they get confused in the trick and they don't actually understand what it is they're working on. And I don't think it's so difficult to understand the difference between 235, 177, and 4:3 aspect ratios when you're working on animation or video. I really think that that's just some basic shit you should have down, you know? Like that's not so hard, especially when it's labeled on the file, you know? But I've gotten this before. This is why, like, I always tell people, like, if when you work with me, you stand up to the fucking standard that I work at. I don't step down to your half-ass bullshit. You know, straight up. Otherwise, don't fucking work with me. It's that simple. I don't care. It's not my fucking loss. Brandon's a good dude. He's learning. You know. And I hate when I have an hour-long conversation and I come to find out someone actually wasn't paying attention to anything I fucking said. That's just rude. Then I have to wonder, what else didn't you hear? I mean, I lit into him the other day on something, and people on the stream were like, "Oh, Rob's an ass." I'm like, "Yeah, well, fucking, you know something? Me being an ass now sure beats being out $40,000. I have made mistakes, and I've had to correct every one of them. I just don't want to see this guy make the same fucking mistakes. That's God's honest truth. I just don't want to see that happen. I mean, I never forget. Dave tried to warn me about the fucking measurements on the magazine, and I was too lazy. That was like my final straw because I just didn't want to actually get real measurements and do some basic math. I thought I could just fucking, oh yeah, I know it. And then turns out I got the whole first issue of Game Fan done, and I made it 1 inch too tall. 1 inch too tall. The whole thing was right, but it's too tall. You know? And I had to fucking go and fix everything. And everything was approved. Ads were approved. Everything was approved, but the fuck, it was too tall. And I didn't realize it until I just started sticking ads in the magazine. I was like, the ads aren't right. I'm like, no, the whole magazine's wrong. So I didn't tell anybody. I just fixed it. And I remember calling Dave like the next day, and I was like, Dave, I got good news and bad news. He's like, well, give me the good news. He said, well, first he said, what's the bad news? He wanted the bad news first. And I said, well, the bad news is I made the magazine 1 inch too tall. And he's like, I knew there was something off about that. It just didn't look right. He's like, well, what's the good news? I'm like, the good news, I fixed it yesterday. So you don't have to worry about it. Hey Keith, what's up, dude? I'm drawing the interior to Game Cave Online for Game Cave Volume 1. No, actually, it's pretty much the culmination of my initial sketch. Like luckily I thought about what this stuff should look like as I wrote the book. So, case in point, I can show you really quickly. Give my hand a little bit of a rest here. Um, or maybe not. There we go. I can show you. See, that's my initial rough sketch. And then I had Brandon build a SketchUp model based off that, rotated the perspective, dropped it into the uh, the file, the InDesign file, which would be chapter 2. So you can see right there. And then now I'm drawing the final version that I'll then digitally color. If you saw all that. Did you see any of that? Because I may have not hit present to everyone. I can go over it again. Oh, thanks. Because it has this thing that says present to everyone, and sometimes I forget to check it. I don't know if it actually goes through or not. So I'm trying to be like responsible with how big I draw everything, you know? So I don't want to overdo it. And I probably could have done this digitally, but I want the actual. First, I don't want perfectly clean lines. I want that, classic Final Fantasy art book look back like, 7, 8, 9, when they used to hand draw their stuff. So I still want that. And then two, it gives me, portfolio pieces, right? Like, you know, here's all the actual art. But that's what they were doing even back in the day, drawing over 3D renders. So not everything will be. I've sort of had to pick and choose the thing that will have like that sort of, uh, branding going into SketchUp. So there are some things that I'll just freehand through, like the Yogurt Fortress and a bunch of stuff in the book that is just there to sort of world build. But all the Game Cave stuff will have 3D models because I plan on reusing that stuff anyway. This is their digital store, their online store that they go into in VR. So GameCube has two stores. It has a real world store and then a VR presence. Tomorrow night I'll be working on Snake Eyes stuff. I have to like alternate every other day. Initially, it was like commissions and prints and all that, Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, but I flipped it because GameCube is more of a priority right now than print drives. So, but tomorrow night I'll work on Snake Eyes a bit. Like this little exit sign I'm drawing is actually a nod to Final Fantasy VIII. I only take them when I do Kickstarters, so I won't be taking any more commissions until probably sometime in May or June, which will be my next big drive. And I usually have like 3 or 4 slots, and that's about it. Because I like to do like one a month. I don't like rushing through commissions. I like to make certain that you get a really good piece of artwork, you get a great print to go with it, you get the line arts. I get to work on the character a little bit. You know, I don't like just trucking through. Here's this commission, there's that commission, like it's fast food. Stretch my hand out for a little bit. Can be a little tedious. I think I can wrap this up in the next hour. Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, I hate rulers, man. You know how many times I use a ruler and then you just smear the ink all over your drawing? Like I just learned a long time ago, like if you just get it good enough, it looks better than a ruler, you know? Because these aren't architectural drawings, you know? The real trick is just to always keep your eye on where you want the pen to go, or pencil, however you want to look at it, you know? Like you keep your eye on where you want it to go. And say I want to go to this mark here. Yeah. This is how I spent most of my college, learning how to draw straight lines. And by the way, it's always easier to go left to right if you're right-handed, and then just rotate the page. Yeah. Now I'm going to draw the elements I know exist and how they look. So I'll get these kiosks done first. Thing to remember too is it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. It's going to shrink down. And once I add color, I can always smooth a few things out. They're not perfect. Doesn't really matter. Now all I gotta do is replicate that floor on the back wall. Alrighty. Just posting work in progress to the Facebook and Instagram and so forth and so forth. See how long that takes to make its way out. Give my hand a little bit of a stretch here. Almost done. There'll be a lot of little holographic elements and stuff like that too when I get to the color. Hmm. Yeah.
Hi again.
Hey, what up, dude?
Looking good.
Teamwork. What? If I had to fucking draw the base, with all the shit, it would take 10 times as long,
Right.
So what's going on?
Nothing. Just taking a break from the after effects of doing it.
How's that going?
Uh, Good now. Um, Frustrating at first. Just thinking like, oh yeah, I'll just do this, that, and the other, and then it's like, well, you gotta structure everything right, and then I delete something, and then it's like I get those
Uh-huh.
stupid bars where it's like the old TV screen when you don't have a channel anymore, and I'm like, okay, and then I figure out when I delete it, and then I start making progress, and then I have that moment where I'm like, ah, okay, good. Like it was that moment of I think I might cry right now too. Okay, this is
I'm in
working.
over my head. There's nothing I can do. I need to get a job at 7-Eleven.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Game over. I overpromise. I can't even do this. I'm worthless. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. It
Yeah.
was that. I took the
Yeah.
dog
I
for.
tried to tell I told my wife, she witnessed it firsthand, like living with me. I was like, you have to honestly admit and believe and truly just come to the realization that you actually can't do this.
All right.
You can't just say, "Oh, I can't do it." Like you have to go, "This is impossible. I can't do it." And then you kind of get on with it. You know what I mean? I almost think it's like our minds throwing a temper tantrum,
Right.
you know?
That sounds about right. Because I don't know. About 30 minutes ago, the wife came out of the bedroom and she's like, "What's up?" And I can't do this. I gotta message Rob right now and just tell him I quit. I can't do it. I fucking
Uh-huh.
suck. And she's like, okay. She's half awake. I'm like, I mean, okay. I'm like, this sucks. And then I'm not gonna do the t-shirts right. I'm gonna get fired. It's
Uh-huh.
gonna be a waste of trip to
Yeah.
California. And then she just looks at me. She's like, well, the dog has to pee. And I'm like, all right, well, I took the dog to go pee. And then I was like, well,
Yeah. That
I'm
puts things in
all,
perspective.
bro. I was like,
Okay, yeah, life crushing defeat. Gotcha. Dog has to pee.
right. It's like,
Yeah.
well, she's like,
Uh-huh.
well, you got me and the dog. I'm like, yeah, that's true. But I just like, she don't get it. I'm sitting here like ready to fucking cry because I'm just like, why isn't things working the way my brain should be able to figure it out? I'm not a stupid person, and it just wasn't clicking. And I'm looking at her like I basically was drowning, and she threw the dog on top of me. That's what it was right there. I was like, I am
Well,
in a 20
cherish the thought
pool.
that someday she'll have a creative job
Uh,
and you will get to see the opposite. You'll be on the opposite end of that,
right.
And my advice to you is don't rub it in. Just go, uh-huh. Mm, yep. Just cherish it like Cartman with the tears. Tears. You know.
Yeah. So that was a good
You
moment.
know how many times I just sat there saying I can't make Game Fan?
All right.
I mean, I got this far where I could do all this stuff. I already drawn the enslaved shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could do all
Mm-hmm.
that, but I couldn't fucking lay out a magazine.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. I have to call Dave, tell him it's fucking over. I can't do this, Fucking, I'm a loser. I don't know what I'm gonna do. You know,
Mm-hmm.
all been there. The difference is, he knew I could do it, and he actually knew I could do it. And the difference is, I know you can do it, but you not only have to do it, you have to do it well.
Right.
And doing it well is tricky, because then you're living up to, like I said, to my standard, to someone else's standard, you know?
Right.
And when artists start working, towards someone else's standards, um, that's when you know you're starting to hit the real realm, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But you can take comfort in them knowing, look, I know you can do this, and guess what? You're going to keep doing it until you get it right.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, could be worse, I could be a total asshole and be like, mother, I mean, there is like the whiplash school of fucking,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like thought that if you just be mean to people enough, that'll get them through it. I think that there are mistakes that you can unnecessarily make that I think warrant an ass chewing, and then I think there's just, yeah, well, you know, it's gonna be tough. And you want to know why it's tough? Because it's actually cool.
Yeah,
And shit that's
challenging.
super fucking easy, you know what I mean? Ain't
Right.
really cool. Like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
I mean, drawing your comic, although, you maybe not have been motivated all the time to do it, was relatively an easy process. You just drew whatever the fuck you wanted,
Right.
you know? Like what I'm doing here, yeah, it's what's in my head, but it's not whatever the fuck I want, right? You know what I mean? Like, I
Hmm.
mean, it's not just, good enough, you know? And you know what I'm talking about, that doesn't matter. They'll just buy this shit. Then you get a con and no one buys anything,
Right.
you know? And you're like, yeah, how'd that work out for you?
Those those steps down into the bottom area look turned out real nice. The ones that go around the triangle uh,
Yeah.
level. I like how that looks.
Yeah.
Just drawn out. And those three screen things look badass.
Yeah, once you get them out the 3D, you know what I mean? Get them down on paper. I mean, I don't know, dude. I get the super slick CG shit, but I still like the fact that, backgrounds used to be hand drawn. You know what I mean? When you look at the
Right.
making of like Final Fantasy 9 and 7 and 8, I like seeing pencil drawings. Then it gets sad when I see the CG version. You know? You're like, oh, could you just color that up? Like, color the drawing up. Like, the drawing was so nice. But yeah, I mean, like, I was showing them the roughie, You look the roughie to final, I mean, it's nice. It's like, yeah, that's what it is, but it's also, a bit more.
Hmm.
It'd be nice when this all goes to color. But, yeah. I used to sit there and fucking stress. Like, when I agreed to draw Mosaic and Image picked it up, I'm like, how am I supposed to draw this book? How am I
Hmm.
supposed to get this done and still have a job? You know what I mean? And I was like, so am I supposed to like quit my job now? And he's like, no. I'm like, well, like, how am I supposed to get this amount done? And he's like, well, we'll just, how many pages do you think you can do? Like 4 or 5? I'm like, 4 or 5? Like, maybe these were conversations we should have had before we sold books.
Right.
Like, no, I can't draw 4 or 5 pages a week and fucking have a full-time job, dude. You know? Have you seen my art? Like,
Right. Not at what you were presenting. All that detail and all that crazy shit.
no, I can't do 4 or 5 a week. It was the funniest conversation, you know? And my first fucking pages, I was so nervous, like, I couldn't draw anything tiny because I couldn't get the pencil to work right drawing tiny. I thought it looked like shit. So I took every panel and blew it up. Like kind of like what you see here,
Uh,
but like every panel. You know what I mean? And then I scaled it down. That just fucked everything up. That was a fucking nightmare. You know? So I started working out how to draw like These are different. These are more like production drawings, so slightly different scenario. But yeah, I've totally gave in several times. Same with like writing the book. I was like, I can't write the book. Game over. Game over, man. Game over.
That's funny then.
It's like, how am I gonna get everything done? And no. Try not to worry about times anymore. I try to think about what I have to do and focus on doing that well. And let time take care of itself. Because once you're in your fucking zone, you start moving 10 times faster.
Right.
I mean, that's a fact. But there's no guarantee of when you'll get into that mode.
Well, at least I had that moment of, I'm just going to call Rob and tell him I can't do it, and I
No,
wasted
you
time.
can, and you're getting it done. So
Right, that's what I'm saying, that it's already, I had that moment of like, I can't do it, and then I'm like, I can.
yeah, you can do it. It's really not that. All the work's done for you, dude. You know, like all you have to do is just time it, and I mean, you get to the point where it's like you keep regressing to the point where it's like, well, what else can I do? I can't do anything. You know what I mean? Well, that means at some point you just gotta own up to the fact that maybe you just haven't been applying yourself. You know? And
Hmm.
that you get to the point where you're like, wow, for the first time in my career, I'm probably actually applying myself. Mhm.
Right. Well, I mean, I would definitely say, as far as actually putting in effort, I should be putting in, and my art career hasn't started since it started when you asked me to 3D model, or well, After Effects at first.
After Effects, yeah. Yeah, no, it's After Effects because that's the shit that you're now, right? Now, like I said, now you have to go. I did this cartoon. Now go learn After Effects, right?
Right.
I mean, you may not remember every little fucking thing 'cause it's been a couple months, but you know your way around it.
Right.
It'd be a whole lot worse if I handed you this cartoon. You had to go learn the program too, and you're looking at all this shit.
Right.
Trust me, because I've been there. Here's all this stuff. Making a magazine's easy. Just drag some boxes, drop some text in there, you're good to go. That was my tutorial. Thanks, Dave. Huh. That looked pretty easy. Hmm. You can do it. You can draw all this crazy shit. This is nothing. I kept thinking, if it's nothing, then why are you even having me do it? Why not have
Right.
someone else do it? Because drawing takes a lot of time. You know what I mean? Like every hour I'm not drawing is one extra hour I have to stay up late drawing. It's kind of like simple math. Maybe you should hire someone to do this easy shit. It's like my logic. I'm thinking a lot of the stuff I was going to put on shells, I might just want to do it digitally so it has like a. I'm for drawing a bunch of shit, but I think it might be. I don't know yet. The online stuff is a little trickier because it has to be a little cleaner.
Uh huh.
Like I just want these floor textures and shit. Trying to think if I ever quit a job because I was just not qualified. I didn't show up to an interview once. I can tell you that much. It was 2004. I had an interview at the studio for entry level animation work, and they wanted to see realistic stuff. Which I was like, well, then why did you even respond to my portfolio? And so I spent my weekend doing a bunch of fucking gesture, whatever. And then I'm like, I don't know about this, and which I just don't enjoy. I'm like, I'm not that guy. And so I'm like, well, I could just like I was looking at some drawings I could redraw, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not plagiarizing. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not doing it. Like I just was like, I'm not coming. You know? So sorry. No, 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 no. I'm like, well, no, 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 no. I'm like, no, really. I don't have the skill set. You're asking for things, and I'm not gonna sit here and rush it or fucking jack someone's shit. So one fucking time I looked at it, I'm like, well, I could, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do it to get a fucking job. It means I'm not fucking qualified. It's not the job for me. I always wondered, like, how am I gonna make any money doing this shit? But like this stuff right here is stuff that would never fly in a studio, man. You know, this would not happen. Not today. It'd have to be painted right over your model. It'd have to have all this realistic texture. It'd be a texturing situation with materials list, and that's what I want to completely avoid.
Right.
Fuck what everything else today is. I don't care. I'm going back. You know,
Right. All the life sucked out of it from that's
just
what they do now.
anything, dude. Like maybe it shouldn't look so good. You know, there's something to be said, dude. About well, if you're claiming this is a masterpiece, look at how it was made. Do you think it would be made better just because you have modern? I mean, they were drawing over 3D models. That isn't the issue.
Hmm.
It's just that we're not drawing. It's all digitally painted, and that's the thing where it's like, dude, it'll come to life with color. But wouldn't it be nice too to have a nice piece of artwork to go with this? Well, it eats up time. That's what it comes down to is time. Because of this time it took me to fucking draw all this shit, I could have been painting over it. So the only reason why they do it is because they want to speed it up. And you know why they want to speed it up, Brandon? Because they want you to do 10 times more work. So now you unnecessarily develop a bunch of art. Rather than have someone actually make a decision and guide these productions along a certain path, they
Uh,
are able to give them 10, 20, 50 times more output so then they can just sort of pick and choose and throw away the rest. That's what art directions become. It's not art direction, it's art buffet. You know? It's fucking sickening. And this is why, games like Final Fantasy 13, you're like, well, why is the fucking designs all over the place? That's why. Like, guaranteed. Because when you have to hand draw this shit, you're like, there's only a limited amount of time. This shit takes a while, and we got to be very, you got to pick it. You got to pick and choose the vision,
all right.
and roll with it. Bean counters don't like fucking other cats making decisions because it means they'll get the credit, and the bean counters want the credit. Fucking producers, assholes. I mean, when you see the making of Earthworm Jim, isn't it cool that the levels are hand drawn? Like the designs of them,
All right.
you know? Does that make it look janky? I mean, shit, that's a museum piece now. Design the level by hand. I wish I had the fucking ability to paint these by hand. I just don't. Maybe with the Copics, but I don't know. At that point, you know what I mean?
Right.
If I could paint these like with acrylic, and if I was good enough, and I would. I really would. But alas, my skill set is only so deep. There's only so much I can do. I was actually hoping to get this and the exterior drawn tonight, but that ain't happening.
Let's see. Mouth too.
And if I could get away with just straight pencil, I would, but my hand can't take it. I'll be honest with you. These pens basically keep me out of carpal tunnel.
One cool thing about how you have everything cataloged, it's like I'm going through and I'll just write, let's say mouth 02, eyebrows 05, eyes 11, and I'll just go click them, drag them, drop them into where they need to go at the timeline. I don't know if
Right.
that's the fastest way, but it's a way that's I can see myself working proficiently,
Well,
working
that's
it.
what I said. You're gonna have to figure out what's gonna be proficient for you, you know.
Right.
And, then
So that
and
may
that'll
not be the
evolve over time, you know.
right. That's what I was gonna say. That it may not be the best way, and I might figure it out down the line way faster. But at the moment,
Well, the worst thing I could have done is just hand you a file filled with shit. Like I try to avoid. I was concerned, about that.
well, what froze me up too after we talked was, um, it's like, do I flatten a layer? Do I flatten this and drop it in? And
But
I
this
couldn't.
is milking out. This is what I was trying to talk to you about
Right,
the other day when you were like, and we fucking had our little fucking spat because I was like, I'm curious to know what the hell are you gonna do? You know, like, I
right,
don't think you got what I was talking about till like now. You know,
right. Well, yes, pretty much, yeah. Like with the X sheet, that helped a lot. And then now that I have it all categorized in time, now I go, okay, and this, I have a little mini descriptions too in the area of the mood you'll have. So it's like with the beginning with the two 3DSs, I can pick out the right eyebrows, mouth, and eyes, drop it in, and then move the time frame over, next thing, and so forth. So
it's like when people are like, "Oh, Rub's an ass," I'm like, no, I'm not an ass. He just doesn't know what the fuck it is I'm talking about, and he's talking like a douche. You'll see. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I was genuinely interested because I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck it is you're gonna do. Because I could see the timing's gonna be a thing, and then there's how you're gonna group the expressions together.
Right.
You know, I don't know. I erred on the side of at least trying to give you some kind of order. You know?
Right. Well, I'm gonna now that I'm kind of getting it, and I'll be able to piece things together to at least have a full video to show you soon. Figure out ETA on that, and then from there, you do your notes and revisions, and then tell me like we do every time. So just like
I'm
all the
hoping
others.
we get it down in one pass. I have a feeling it might be two. I'm hoping there'll be one pass for revisions,
That's what
not
I
two
think.
revisions. I'm hoping. I mean, you just gotta use your comedic timing, bro. You get the same things I get.
Uh-huh.
You're just gonna have to like try to think along. You know. That's what I was telling you. You really want to try to get this done before you move because you're not gonna remember where you left off.
Right.
When you get done and you settle in that week, then when you finally sit down to work again, you want it to be on something like the mother. You want it to be something new. You see what I mean?
Hmm.
The next thing, not I gotta go back to that thing. Cause I hate that feeling when I have to go fucking back. Like I gotta open this shit back up. I mean that's what Game Cave is. I gotta open up the file and look at all this stuff again. Like I want forward progression. So I'm not trying to get caught up on stuff. This dude is making. What's he doing again? This guy is making a 3D version of my spider design.
Hmm.
It's got the whole thing like mapped out. Looking pretty good actually. I've seen people try to make this before and not get it right, but
Nice.
the one thing about that, I don't know, it's a simple design, but the one thing I like about it is that, and even if I did it now, I'd redesign a few things, but the one thing I like is that inverse of taking the legs and inverting it so it makes the red spider.
Hmm.
Like if you wrap them around, you can invert it. Like it actually really works. It's one of those things you look at, you're like, how come the actual suit doesn't do that? You know, it kind of should. Now the question is, do I? See, I want those to be digital things, so drawing a bunch of stuff right there would make no sense.
Where at?
All the stuff in the shells,
Oh yeah.
those are gonna be like digitally lit up and stuff, like along here. So it doesn't really make any sense. Because Game Cave, the actual store, is gonna be filled with knickknacks and all sorts of shit. You know what I mean? So I want it to be the opposite. I think that's that. Look at that. Almost 1:30. So wanted to get
Yay.
two, but I got one done. It's good enough. I mean, it's a pretty big drawing anyway.
Yeah. And I had my panic attack, and I'm good. So
You with the whole kill me. Stay on the line, dude. I got 10 minutes. All
right.
right, thanks for hanging out, folks. I'll be back on tomorrow night. Gonna be drawing some snake eyes. See you then. Bye.